The University College of the University of Maine system, together with the Maine Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Standards, has formed a partnership to make public information more accessible to Maine's employers. Hello, I'm Raymond Taylor from the Maine Department of Labor, and I would like to introduce Janice I. Spencer. Jan is the Prevailing Wage Inspector for the Bureau of Labor Standards, and she will present the following series of lectures. Welcome, Jan.
Prevailing wage rates are often called mini Davis-Bacon rates, referring to the federal Davis-Bacon Act requirements in Maine, which date from the early 1930s, but received a major rewrite in the mid-1960s. In 1998, the Maine Turnpike Authority was included under the jurisdiction of the prevailing wage law. Benefits were added to the wage determinations beginning January 1st, 2000. Rules were announced and went into effect in 2001. The determinations are issued in accordance with the type of construction involved and by the county where the construction will be done. There may be two types of determinations for a construction project, such as Building 2 for a building on site and for highway and earthwork for parking lots and boat landings. There may also be more than one county involved on large paving projects, where a special rate is set for more than one county, or possible statewide rates for larger areas needed to cover blasting or flagging throughout the state of Maine. We will elaborate more shortly. Prevailing wage rates in Maine require 10 employees reported in a classification on the annual construction wage survey. Once the Maine construction wage survey is returned from construction companies who worked in Maine, the data is entered and rates are set for classifications meeting the 10 or more worker mark statewide. This would not include specialty occupations. Flaggers are required for safety purposes on specific types of construction, and underwater construction divers are used for large dock and specialized building areas. Rates are developed through a survey process for 4 types of construction listed. Where do we get the data for prevailing wage? Data is set from employees who are listed by occupation code on the Maine Department of Labor Construction Wage Survey under the construction classification they are working in during the survey period. Flaggers and underwater construction divers are surveyed for the full year. Included are the wage and benefits, county, and type of construction. The data collected starting from September 1st of a calendar year is reflected in the next calendar year wage rates. Each year, the Bureau of Labor Standards mails the Construction Wage Rate Survey form. Companies classified as a construction company following federal guidelines will receive a survey. Companies who are no longer in the construction industry may indicate such on their survey, and they should list what their present direction is for their company so they will be coded accordingly. This will prevent receiving a survey which is not applicable to them. Once the surveys are received, the information on the survey for type of occupation, county worked, type of construction, and wage and benefit data is entered into the construction wage database. At the close of the survey, we set prevailing wage rates. Setting prevailing wage rates. The median rate is the center wage for each occupation. It is not an average rate. This is the same for the benefit line. The wage and benefit line on a prevailing wage determination are 2 separate areas. If an employee is not paid a benefit or their benefit does not meet the minimum required, then the cash value becomes a part of the wage line and must be included in overtime. The wage line can never be decreased if the benefit exceeds the minimum benefit. From the survey, the median rate is set for both minimum wage and minimum benefit to be paid for the classification of the worker in each county. If there is no occupation listed on the prevailing wages posted for a specific occupation, then an employer would pay that employee their regular wages. Classifying employees at construction sites. A frequently asked question is the classification of a worker. The most common is the difference between a skilled laborer and an unskilled laborer. A skilled laborer does not need constant supervision and is skilled in their work. An unskilled laborer provides unskilled labor such as sweeping, moving materials when directed, and have no true discernible skill. What if an employee works in two classifications? Many times workers work in two classifications on a construction job. It is the contractor or subcontractor's responsibility to clearly track the employee's time in each classification. We also suggest to employees they keep a log of their time in each classification, such as crane operator and skilled laborer. If an employee works more than one classification, the time must be documented clearly on a log and on the certified payroll form. If an employee's split classification is not documented, the employer must pay the employee the highest of the rate earned for all time. When are prevailing wages required? In the past, projects needed to be over the $10,000 mark to require prevailing wage. At present, it is any project over $50,000 funded by state money. If a project initially comes in at bid slightly below the $50,000 mark, any change orders or overages which would take it over that minimum would require the project pay prevailing wages from the start of the project. These wages must be posted clearly on site, not in a construction trailer or out of easy access of employees. More than one form posted at a construction site. Many highway and bridge projects require two wage determinations. Workers' wages may change during the project as they move from paving a roadway to transitioning to paving a bridge. Both prevailing wage determinations must be posted at the construction site. Expectations of employers involved in prevailing wage construction projects. If you are the lucky winner of the bidding process for a state of Maine funded construction project, you must follow the procedures required by prevailing wage laws. Included in these requirements are 1. Proper classification of each employee on site. If clarification is needed, please call the Bureau of Labor Standards and speak with the prevailing wage examiner. 2. You must posting of the prevailing wage form at the construction site by the general contractor in an open area easily viewed. 3. Certified payroll forms submitted each payroll cycle. This form is attainable online. This is the certified payroll form. The link to this is on the main course page. Other requirements by the employer on site would be number 4, correct payment of prevailing wage for each employee, which has a listed classification on the wage determination. Number 5, on-site records of payroll for review by the Department of Labor prevailing wage examiner. This would include a breakdown of classification of each employee involved with separate occupations. This should be done with timesheets and a breakdown of hours worked for each occupation. If there is not a breakdown, the employee must be paid the higher of the wages for the occupations worked. Number 6, provide copies of certified payroll to the Maine Department of Labor when requested. This is required by Maine state law.